Hey everybody, how's everybody doing?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
Wait, was that for us or the audience? I'm confused.
Dude, it's for the giant group of people who is currently, they're all currently watching us. They're
Okay,
waiting. Hey everybody,
Yeah.
welcome back to The Forecast, episode 152. The Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast streamed on Thursdays, released on YouTube, and podcast on Fridays. Usually, although, I've been getting behind on YouTube videos, so I need to catch up. I got one more to go. I was like 4 behind. No, I'm whatever. It's unimportant.
Important. People like
we
YouTube.
are a community of people who love exploring and discussing all kinds of things from video games and board games to film and TV to our everyday life experiences. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us at facebook.com/thehorizonfb, or you can come hang out on our Discord channel, or you can check out our website, wethehorizon.com. We have a bunch of original content for you to browse through there, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, the Discord and Signal. Hey. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. I'm Aaron, joined by a couple additional peeps. Caleb.
Hello, it's me.
Jake.
Hey, what's up?
Owen.
Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and happy Pride Month, everybody.
Chad.
Sniffing that gold boss.
Alex.
What?
Yeah, what? Indeed.
Gold boss.
All right, let's start off the top with...
For the
Caleb.
listeners, there's a soap bar on my mic.
Why?
Called Gold Moss. I don't know. We're sponsored by Squash now.
Caleb, you want to give us a Silk Song update? Or Chad?
Yeah,
were you gonna-
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember who was going to do
Oh,
what here. Are we doing Silk Song?
If Chad's got something good, let him
Man.
go.
I feel like he was scrambling. He looked like he was scrambling.
No, honestly, the amount of times that we've done segments and rotated have really backed up my logs, okay?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always backed up.
How about a dual segment today then? We'll start with Caleb's update, because I'm sure it's going to be really long. So we'll go with the long stuff first, and then we'll go with you, Chad.
Mine is very
Yes.
short.
So, no real updates. Silk Song's still not here, guys. Still no mention of it.
Wait, what
There
about that mod you were just talking about?
Well, there's 2 things.
Two.
Alex did link a nice mod that turns the main character in Elden Ring into Hornet. So there's that. And there is a random interview someone had with Jeff Keighley where he apparently has talked to the Team Cherry team, and he's pretty sure the pandemic hit them really hard. So who knows when it'll be.
Oh, fun. Fun.
That's
Okay,
some
thank
good
you.
Silk Song content
Thank
right
you.
there.
Thank you
Well,
for the Silk Song
this
update.
quote from like 3 weeks ago, where Team Cherry says, "It can't be too much longer, surely."
Well, yeah. Sounds like
Chad.
they're upset it's not out yet.
Let's move on to marketing, ads, things, and stuff. What do you got?
Okay, so this one, the video is no longer available, so you can't actually see it anymore, but it was horrific to watch. I think it's because it's from a different country, so we can't see it here in the United States. So if you live in Brazil, you probably could still watch this. But Burger King created a bad tasting burger to reflect 2020.
Oh.
So, aiming to capture the essence of 2020 with flavor, Burger King Brazil assembled a bad-tasting burger with only displeasing ingredients that only get more disgusting when paired together. The campaign featured ingredients like soggy noodles, chicken feet, sardines, and fish, all of which are layered on top of each other to create a burger that truly looks as bad and surely tastes as bad as it looks. Burger King Brazil challenged a few customers to try the revolting burger, which was impossible to get down. So it's just, marketers having fun.
That sounds like I'm almost ready to throw up just thinking about it.
Is there
Yes.
an actual burger patty still, just with all that piled on top?
I don't believe so.
Sonic Burger.
Yeah, right. That's where I was going with it.
If this was back in 2021 when we talked about this, I probably would be able to remember what this burger looked like because the video would be here. They do go on to say that this burger was not sold on the menu. Just, if you guys were worried about it.
I was so worried.
So what? Was it just like someone would come in and be like, "Hey, do you want to eat something gross?" And they'd be like, "No."
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes marketing ads are kind of just weird.
Yeah.
So
This is the
I'm sure.
second or third time Burger King has been in your segment for having terrible marketing.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that we'll get to later, in the future.
The concept of that burger almost makes me think, like, have you guys seen the videos where people try to eat the fermented herring?
Yep.
Surströmming, or however you say it. It's like a Swedish fish that's fermented in it almost looks like
That's
a tuna
not a
can.
Swedish fish, dude.
Yes, not
Okay,
Swedish
sorry.
fish. Come on now.
It is a fish from Sweden, not to be confused with the candy Swedish fish in a can. And it is, everybody who gets it close to their mouth, they're just like, about to instantly throw up.
So I was able to hover over the link inside of my Google Doc that I have, and I found a picture of what the burger looks like. And I do not see a patty in there at all.
What's the red thing?
I think that's a tomato. That's got to be a
Swedish
tomato.
fish.
Is that just tomato?
It's just a slab of tomato. There's some cheese. That might actually, you know what? I think underneath where it gets cut off, there might be a patty there with cheese.
I think there is.
And then there's like the rest of it. So it's layered with like
Peeking
the
out.
chicken feet and the soggy noodles. And
I mean,
Yeah.
I really don't want to, but I will definitely post a link to this photo or something. Somehow get this photo on there. Ugh. This looks gross, guys. All right, let's move on. What have you been playing lately? Alex, start with you, right off the top.
Oh boy. Diablo Immortal came out.
You have
Is it good?
phones?
Why?
It actually came out today on PC because this
thank
game
God.
exists on PC.
Yeah, let's go.
Came out
I mean,
yesterday on mobile.
Phones.
It is the Diablo game that we wanted for PC, guys. So I don't know why everybody's so indifferent.
I have tested it across PC, iPad, and phone just to get a feel for how it all works. I'm actually kind of surprised it works. It's fairly competent, it seems. The touch controls are actually pretty good, I think, even though I don't want to play a game like that. And like you still get the thing where like you use the screen as a joystick and your thumb starts to stick on the screen because you've been like rubbing it on it too much, and it just gets
Yeah.
annoying. So that's
You're just
pretty
so
bad.
perfect at explaining stuff.
Chad, the moment he was saying that, I saw a little freaking your corner of your mouth. You just started smirking. Oh yeah.
Gameplay is smooth though. Seems pretty good. There's like it's a brand new story and stuff. So there, if you're interested in Diablo story at all, then this is something. It takes place after the expansion for Diablo 2 and before Diablo 3, I think. From what I understand. Phone controls decent. You can also just Bluetooth a controller to the phone, and that works no problem. The controller controls surprisingly good, which I think we also found out when they did Diablo 2 Resurrected. Surprisingly good controls on controller
Yeah.
for a action RPG like that.
Mm-hmm.
On the PC end, the controller stuff seems broken, like utterly broken. I don't know why, but it's like super laggy, and like you'll push the stick to the left and it'll get stuck going that direction for a bit, and then buttons won't seem to function, and then all of a sudden they will. I don't know. But mouse and keyboard control is totally good, and it feels like really good to play mouse and keyboard on PC actually. Downside, it is a mobile game, so it does look a little rough, and the interface is like very mobile-y and large. So that's a negative.
Are there microtransactions?
Not that I've got to yet, but I'm sure there are. I think I've seen mention of like cosmetics and stuff already, so
Heck yeah.
I'm not sure how that stuff looks yet. I'll report back on that, but I've actually kind of enjoyed the opening bit of the game.
It just plays straight like Diablo, like the other Diablos.
Yeah, it's a little. There's something very specific about the movement that feels slightly different. Like if you click to move a direction and then click to attack somebody, you don't immediately stop and attack them, but you throw out the attack, but you still move a little bit. So what it turns into is like you can like strafe dodge attacks and stuff while throwing attacks out, and it actually feels really good on mouse and keyboard. Yeah, I don't like the
Like
interface.
orb walking.
Like orb walking, yeah. You're orb walking essentially.
Weird.
The inventory, it is free.
Okay.
The inventory management is like super diluted. Like it just auto organizes like where stuff goes. You open up the inventory, it's like a big green arrow on all the things that you want to equip because those are better than what you have. And you just like hit the button to equip those things real quick. Don't really pay attention to it, as far as I can
I
tell.
want them to go like a step farther, where everything you pick up gets auto-equipped and it just sells your old stuff immediately. So all you have to do is walk through the dungeon and constantly gear up.
The iPad works the exact same way as the phone, where you have to use the touch controls or a controller or Bluetooth to it. I'm kind of disappointed that there's no way to use like mouse controls on the iPad. Not like a physical mouse, but like being able to like tap to walk and stuff like that. You still have to use the virtual joystick.
Interesting.
I would think with the bigger screen, you'd be able to like tap to walk, tap to attack, that sort of thing.
You think they just be an option anyway?
Yeah, because I also have a stylus, so I think it would feel natural if the hotkeys that you need to access were on the left side of the screen, and then you use the stylus to like move and aim, and then you could use your left hand to like activate abilities. But there's no option to be able to do that. The abilities are on the right side of the screen, and you have to use left side of the screen joystick to move. But there's like voice acting and cutscenes, and like it's like a real Diablo game. From what I read, I think they went back and reworked what this game was going to be based on the super negative reaction that they got.
There was a negative reaction to this game?
They like showed a little bit of it and announced it in 2018, and the company that they partnered with to make it, they publish stuff in like the Chinese era section of the world, whatever. There was a quote from one of those guys that was talking about how the game was like done in 2019, right? And they're like, we don't know why we're not putting it out yet. I don't know. And then 2 years later, 2 years after that, 3 years after that, they finally put it out. So there is a lot of rumors and some hearsay on the internet about the game pretty much being rebuilt to be like a true Diablo game instead of like when they first put it out, there was some screenshots and video comparisons to this other game that already exists in China. That's an ARPG. And people were like, this is just a reskin of this game. Like they're just cashing in on this like really easily. So it's potential that was what was going to happen, and then everybody got so mad they were like, maybe we shouldn't do that, and they made a real Diablo game instead.
Probably a good decision on their part.
I will never understand why they decided to announce it the way they did. Like, it feels like the kind of thing you just dump it. Like, you just put it out there, you put out a little thing that's like, hey, here's a new Diablo game, kind of, it's on phones. Don't be excited about it. Like, just hook some whales, get some easy money.
The fact that for years they were like not saying anything about Diablo, and everybody had this like hype train about Diablo 4 being announced at some point. And then they came up on like they announced beforehand that there was going to be something from the Diablo team there, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is going to be the Diablo 4 announcement." And then they get up there and they're like, "Diablo on phones," and everybody's like, "This is the opposite of what we want."
Man, it's like just know your audience, right? Like, if anyone who's there doesn't care about your fucking phone game, they are there for Diablo 4.
I would argue they did know their audience because their audience do have phones.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Gosh.
Well,
I don't know.
Aren't phone games like the highest revenue for any video game like platform? Like higher than console, higher than PC?
I'd believe it.
Yeah.
I'd believe it, but I also think that's mostly Asian markets because they like primarily play on mobile at this point.
Yeah.
Also worth noting that there's like full cross progression. So I started on PC and then I shut the game down, opened on my phone, and I was just playing the same character like where I was.
Wow, that's nice.
Nice.
So Pretty cool. I also played a couple of small games. I finally picked up a Leckhead, which is something that's been on my list for a while. It's a small puzzle platformer. You play as a little robot, and your head is basically a generator, and whatever surface you touch powers that surface. So there's a lot of puzzles based around like touching a surface that touches a platform, and it makes that platform power on and move. And then you got to like jump to somewhere else and get something else to move and make it through the level that way. And then about like halfway through the game, you get a power up where you can start throwing your head. So you like start running around the level, throwing your head to land on a certain platform to make sure that that part of the level's powered. Run somewhere else to get to a specific spot, and then make it back to your head in time, because there's also like a timer that your body can't be away from your head for too long, or else you like power down and die.
I was gonna say, before you said that, it seemed like a very slow-paced game. I've seen a little bit of gameplay from it. Seems very much more puzzle than platformer, but now it's starting to sound.
It mostly is slower paced and puzzly. There are a few sections where it's like you have to figure that out, and then you have like 10 seconds to get back to your body. So there's like a little bit of fast-paced puzzle platforming, but not too much. It's very short. It's like under 2 hours or something. But it makes you think a little bit differently. It's kind of cool. There's a couple times where it'll ask you to do things like touch a wall that's off screen, or like in a different screen, power something that's going to happen in the next screen over, and do that for long enough, and then run over and like do the thing that you need to do. Or like there's things like there's going to be chains connected to traps down on this level, and then you go up above and you have to remember which chain was connected to a trap and which chain was not to make it across the different platforms. That sort of thing. Pretty cool little game. And then after I've played that, I was kind of in that platformer mode, and I picked up Jackaxe, which has also been in the back of my mind for platformers for a while.
That was it, PAX, wasn't it? We tried it out at PAX. Okay, that's a cool game.
It's a little Celeste-y in that you kind of get like the burst of motion, but in like a different way, because you like throw the axe forward and then you like zoom towards it if you press the button again. So it's got a lot of platforming that works similarly to Celeste, but less wall hugging, less wall. You can't climb a wall, stuff like that. I do have an issue with it though, in that it's not like a linear game. You don't just progress through levels. There's just like it's like an overworld map essentially, with rooms you can go into to clear. And I just don't know where to go. Like there's no direction on like what I should be doing at this point. And I wander around and I go back into rooms and I'm like, yeah, I've already been here, got the gems from this room. I don't know. Just wandering around, throwing my axe.
No map system to help deal with that?
No. There's like checkpoints that you can teleport between. But I have no direction on what place I need to go to next, and I can't find anywhere new. So I'm kind of stuck.
Maybe you finished the game. Think of that. You're done. You did it.
Big doubt. There's also boss battles in this game, so that's a little different.
Cool.
There's actually like enemies you can attack and stuff.
Caleb,
that's it.
How about you?
I put a few different games recently. One of them's Out There, Oceans of Time. I don't know if you remember a while back, a game came out called Out There. It's a sequel to that. I liked Out There a lot. Playing Out There, Oceans of Time, it is pretty okay.
Oh, wow.
They add a new mechanic to it where you actually explore the planets instead of just exploring space and drilling on the planets. You can like walk around the planets and see new structures, new civilizations and stuff. And it's kind of neat, but it doesn't... All it does is add to the length of the game. It doesn't add much good stuff to it.
I saw it on the Epic Store, and I thought, you know what? I have been interested in this game. Maybe I should pick it up. But then as I was like watching some of the footage from what they were doing, I'm like, this is just better graphics on top of what the mobile version of this game was. Or actually, they had the other version. I don't remember what it was called, Omega or something.
Yeah, Mega Edition. Mm-hmm.
It just didn't look like it added a lot. And honestly, even the thing you're talking about where it adds like exploration on the planets, they verbally described a lot of that in Omega, the Omega Edition. They would be like, you're on a planet, these people have this type of buildings, they're this type of culture, how do you respond? And then you kind of just follow through with it. But it didn't look like it just did much.
One of the weirdest things about the planet exploration, your characters have like health and action points that they can spend to do different things. But there's areas you walk over that can cause damage through various effects like suffocation and stuff. But there's always a path just around them. So as long as you take the long way, which there's no penalty for taking your time exploring, you can just avoid the damage.
I'm surprised they didn't like include oxygen as a resource when you're walking around on a planet.
You'd think they would, but most of the time when you're walking around, you're on a garden planet, which is full of oxygen anyway.
Sure.
So, yeah. The story seems
the
fine.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, you're just trying to get back home, right? Pretty straightforward. This one, there's like a few different objectives that appear, but I'm not quite done with it.
Isn't like the premise like you were like almost a prison transport, and you were carrying this evil guy, and then you crashed, and he escaped, and you were in cryo sleep for like 100 years or something, and you wake up, and then you have to resolve the issue that you started 100 years ago.
Yeah,
kind of a weird premise, but
yeah, there's a point where it kind of branches into multiple different end objectives, I think, but it's pretty short. I mean, I've been playing it for like 2 hours, and I'm at the point where it branches, so I think there's only one objective each direction. So,
wow,
not terribly long.
Isn't it like a $30 game?
I think so.
That's a lot. That's a lot for very little content.
Maybe you're wrong. Maybe it's really long.
Maybe. I mean, most of the reviews say it's pretty short. So.
Yikes.
I doubt it. But yeah, it's just kind of okay. I guess if you really, really like Out There, you can try it and see how you like it. But
you have many bugs?
Any bugs? I didn't really experience many bugs with the game.
A lot of reviews talking about it's super buggy.
Really? Oh, it did crash on me once, but that only the once.
That's not terrible.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've been playing this new game called Soldiers, which came out literally today, I think. I played a little bit of that. I played a demo a long time back and really liked it. It's a Metroidvania that is just pretty solid. I mean, this doesn't do anything particularly special, but it's just fun to explore. Got a pretty good level design. Like I said, not terribly far into it, so we'll see where it goes, I guess. The last game is Sifu. Probably heard of this one. I picked it up on the Epic Store during the sale. It is pretty interesting. Have any of you played it? Tried it?
No, that's the one I was excited to hear your review of because it looks really interesting.
Tell us more.
So it's a fighting game, but it's not like a one-on-one fighting game. It's a brawler-y, I guess. Very similar to maybe. It's got some aspects of Sekiro and some aspects of like the Arkham games.
Batman.
Yeah, thank you. It has a lot to do with blocking and grappling and all this sort of stuff. It's a I don't know if it's a kung fu game or I don't know if it's kung fu specifically, but it's some sort of martial arts.
It's from the developers of Absolver, if you remember that game.
Absolver. Yeah, it does
like an evolution of that fighting.
The most interesting thing about it is its roguelikeness, which I didn't realize it was a roguelike when I picked it up. But it has some really interesting ideas for doing roguelike stuff. So you start on the first mission, and it's a whole broad area that you have to explore all the way through and beat the boss. And then you can travel on to the next one. But the whole time, anytime you die, your death counter goes up. And your death counter then gets added to your age. So you start out at 20 years old. First time you die, goes up to 21. Second time you die, up to 23. It kind of keeps stacking like that. And once you die past the age of 70, it's game over. You gotta start over on a mission.
Huh.
And once you complete a level, you can start on the next one at the earliest age you beat the previous level.
Oh.
So there's this sequence of running through a level and finally beating it after a lot of tries. It's a quite difficult game. And then heading on to the second one, maybe getting some new permanent upgrades, because there's a weird permanent upgrade system that you have to go through. And then going back to a previous level, finding a shortcut that you unlocked the first time through, and maybe beating it a lot faster and a lot younger, so that you can have more time on the next area.
Do they tie that into like the story elements at all? Like your aging?
You're aging, not necessarily. So in the opening cutscene, you die and are resurrected by this magical talisman that you carry at all times, and that's what revives you every time. But it has a toll, which is you age every time.
Right. Sure.
And every 10 years, you lose some max health, but you gain damage. So it's
just like in real life, yeah.
Yeah. I assume it's like you get a lot better at Kung Fu or whatever the martial arts is, and so you can hit people better. But
is so like the point of this game to identify that once you hit 70, that's just it? You've got nothing else to offer the world?
It's definitely saying that at times.
Wow.
But I really like the roguelike mechanics. I think they're really cool. I've only made it to the second mission. I haven't beat the second one yet. Really tough.
Okay. All the reviews I read actually said exactly that. It's like a very tough game, like surprisingly tough. It just looks like a really cool style, and I don't know.
It is. Yeah.
I'm glad somebody finally picked it up, because I was like, $35. I don't know. I think I'm good. I'll wait.
It's also got that shoot, what's his name? Not Deadpool. Who's the blind guy? Marvel.
Blonde guy. Thor.
The blonde guy?
Blind.
Oh,
Daredevil?
Daredevil. Thank you.
Daredevil? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I heard blonde too.
The Netflix Daredevil.
I'm sure you said blonde.
The Netflix
like Steve
Daredevil
Rogers?
series has that fight sequence in the hallway.
In the hallway.
It feels kind of like that sometimes. It's kind of cool.
A good thing to feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, I know you've played a lot of games in the past 2 weeks. Tell us
You know
about
what?
all of those games you've
Is it
played.
just Fortnite?
I have looked through some games, for sure. Looked all over my Steam, and then went right back to the game called Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt.
Oh, gosh.
For anyone listening at home, that was Chad's cat's tail.
Did it actually make like a whack?
It wasn't like super loud,
Oh my God.
but
You need to get down, buddy. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. That's pretty much all I've been playing. I actually played in a tournament last Friday. Didn't do too hot, but it was
I thought you did
interesting
pretty good.
to see our standings versus people who actually like do scrims, and we were just a pickup team. And I was like, oh, we should try this. Let's do it. But yeah, we got like 30 kills one game, 29 kills another game, and then just like 18 or so another game. We just couldn't break that 20-30. Most teams got like 40-30-30, stuff like that. So they're pretty impressive. The issue all this tournament was set up basically in a way where it's like 1 point per kill, 5 points for first place, 3 points for second place, and 1 point for third place. And of course, it's a battle royale. So like you're playing for placement, but you're also playing for W key and kills. Biggest issue with our team is we just couldn't find anybody. We were holding W key as hard as we could, but we just couldn't find teams to kill. So we're like really impressed by the people who got first place and got like the 40 team got 35 kills and won. So it's like, holy crap, that's a lot.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
Yep.
This is
Blood
that
Hunt,
game
pretty fun game.
that you can like press a button or something and like tell the other teams where you are so they can like come after you. Was that not
Yeah.
like a strategy to lure people to you so you could kill them easily and get as you were saying, like you couldn't find anybody?
It is a strat, and we did do it somewhat, but just some people don't use it. Like so the system is if you kill a civilian, so if you shoot at them, smack him in the face, use an ability on them, or if you eat a civilian near a civilian, or you eat a player near a civilian, you are marked on the map, and it's literal walls. Like they can see your entire player silhouette through the map. They can also, if they hit map, see a dot across the map. And so if you're out of range rendering this, they can still see you. It's just if they take up that fight or not. So.
Cool. Is that all?
That's all.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. Owen, how about you? What have you been
Well,
playing?
hey, me. So I've been playing like a bunch of Star Wars games. Finished playing the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
You 100%ed it?
I didn't 100% it, but I played through all of the campaigns because I was like, I'm not gonna go do
those
every
games.
puzzle. Yeah.
I thought you were like a fan. That's all. Not like a big deal.
I mean, I went through and I got all of the like the ships and characters that I cared about, and then after that I was like, okay, I'm good. This is fine. Also, it didn't help that a lot of the characters that I wanted to get came with the DLC that I got for free with the game. So that made life really easy because I was like, yeah, I want to play as all the characters from Rogue One. Oh wait, I get them already, and I don't have unlocked them because I bought the DLC came with the version of the game that I bought. So I was like, cool, this is nice. So I did that. I started playing KOTOR, and I'm gonna be playing KOTOR on stream, which is Star Wars Knights of the Republic 1, which came out as of next month, 19 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Long time
I
ago.
feel old
Yeah.
when I realized that, because that's a really good game. Also, it's aged a lot.
Mhm.
19 years, it sounds
Just
like.
getting
Apparently.
it to run on stream was a fun exercise, and I was like, oh, this game is old. It's not like one of those games that you just you can just download and play on stream or something. I had to it comes in a nice little 900 by 600 resolution, so I had to like widescreen it out and everything with some mods. But yeah, so it should be fun. So I just started on that. So if you liked the Knights of the Republic games, I'm going to be playing both of them on stream and getting through all of that, hopefully before the remake comes out. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't just wait for the remake, but you want to play the old one and the remake, I heard.
Yeah,
On your stream?
I'm gonna end up doing 1 and 2, which 2 may not get remade.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is I wanted to get through all of that. And so I was like, screw it, I'll play all of 1 again to remind myself of what this game is. I'll play 2, and then hopefully by that time, since the remake doesn't have a release date, so who the fuck knows, end of 2023.
Sure.
So I should easily be done playing both of these games by then. So yeah, that should be fine. More importantly, I've been playing this game called V Rising. It's like this cool little indie title, that's like got like 1 million some players on it currently. It's huge.
Next Valheim.
Yeah, honestly,
Basically.
It's for those that don't know, you play as a vampire, you collect resources, you build a giant ass castle, you take back your shit.
Why are vampires so hot right now?
Vampires have always been hot.
It's just really weird.
Because they needed something, because everybody kept on complaining every zombie game that came out that we had too much zombies. And they're like, what can we do that's different?
Wait,
Vampires?
Do vampires every time.
This is just
They're
I
even
don't know, it's
doing
just
Left 4
weird.
Dead with vampires, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I forget who's
That's-
making that, but
Isn't that Arcane?
Arcane.
Is this
I think it is
guys?
Arcane. I think that's right.
Why?
Team.
What? It's,
know,
you know what
vampires.
it is? It's because Morbius came out.
Everything
bad.
makes more sense now.
Did you ask
Man.
that
It's
to
Morbin
start that
time.
whole
It's
joke?
Morbin time. That's right.
Is it? Hold on. There is something that I remember reading, that there was something about how zombie movies and vampire movies come out depending on, like, more of them come out depending on which political party is currently in power. There was
really?
like some correlation that somebody
weird.
had. And so maybe that's why we're seeing the rise of all of these vampire games is we got the Dems in power. So yeah, I'm getting the nod.
Zombies for Republicans.
It's yeah. So when Republicans are in power, it's all of the zombie games zombie movies come out, because I think those are specifically for movies and things. But let's also apply that to all media, because it probably has the same correlation. But yeah, apparently when Republican parties are in power, all of the zombie stuff comes out because the sheeple, I guess, or some shit. And then when all of the blood-sucking Democrats get in there, it's because they love taxing, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand the correlation, but I do know that that's a thing. Ask your local political doctor, professor, because I should honestly talk to my buddy about that. But yeah, so it's a vampire thing. It's kind of Valheim-y because you do gather resources and build a base. And there's more of an emphasis on PvP in this. There's also a fuck ton of bosses, like easily 40, which is kind of great because it's way better than just being like, hey, I killed the 2 bosses here, I guess I'm almost done the game. There's a bunch of game here. I've been playing it for like the past week nonstop pretty much, and I still have like a quarter of the bosses in the game to go.
And it's still in early access, right?
Still in early access, so it unfortunately will not be part of my game of the year list.
At least you know early. At least you know early.
It will be in the honorable mentions, as was Valheim last year. I like the
it could come out this year still.
Yeah, it may.
That's true.
But it was last year. Valheim was in my honorable mentions because of the fact that it wasn't fully out. As far as the base building stuff goes, I actually think this is really cool. Of how like you kill some bosses, you get some neat equipment to build into your base that can then convert your resources into new stuff, and then you take the new stuff and you make new armor, new weapons, kind of the same thing that Valheim is doing. I think the combat's better, honestly. I like the fact that there's no skill stuff, so there's like when you die, all of your loot drops, but you don't lose any progress, which is nice. It makes it a little bit more free on taking on like risks. Like I took on some bosses that I was like, I don't know if I can actually kill this guy, because what's gonna happen? I'm gonna drop the loot that I don't have on me. Sure, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like,
right.
It doesn't really put you back, and he doesn't. So I thought that was nice. I do like Valheim's construction a bit more because there's actually like a free form way of building, kind of more Minecraft-y, whereas this you have kind of more like a grid system, and you're like, I put a floor here, I want the floor to look like this. I put a wall here, I want the wall to look like this. Like it, you don't really get a chance to really do anything cool or crazy with it. Like we've built that huge longhouse in our village and stuff like that. In Valheim, which I thought was really cool. And while I have been building a castle with my friends in this, it doesn't really have that same feel. It just kind of feels like a big space that we've kind of thrown all of our shit together rather than something that we like strived on.
I was disappointed to hear about this game because this is the Battle Right team's next game. And it's not an evolution of Battle Right.
It's not the first evolution of Battle Right. The
Before
good
they
one.
ruined it.
Yeah.
What's Battle Right?
Yeah,
It's like a 3v3 battle arena.
Yeah. It was incredible.
Oh, I think I played that. Yeah, didn't enjoy that at all.
Did not have a good time there.
That game was so cool when it first came out.
Yeah. And they ruined
it.
Sorry, not to derail. How'd they ruin it?
So originally you played like 5 rounds, and it was first to 3, best of 5, whatever. And each round you leveled up a skill, so you got to kind of choose on the fly what would be better against the other team. And then they changed it where you pick all of your stuff and you start every round with the whole tree, and you don't get to change it.
Poor decision.
Weird
it was
energy.
like cool and tactical originally, because it'd be like, oh, usually I'd probably want the extra damage, but they're like hitting me so hard, so I'm gonna take the defensive thing instead.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder why they changed it.
I don't know.
But like then they changed it to where you just like look up like what's the most effective build for this character,
Right,
and you just pick those things.
It seems designed to make it less interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their reasoning was like some characters, the way they had balanced some characters, they didn't come online until they had more battle rights.
Well,
So they were just like
that's
really bad in the beginning, but better later.
It's
I
like
think
it's
that's
called
part of the strategy.
risk reward, right?
Yeah.
You say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna pick a character who's really good with one skill but falls off." So
Yeah.
hopefully we win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Also, with like a 3-on-3 situation, you can be like, okay, I'm going to take a character that scales well later. You pick one that's good
Right.
early.
Tactics,
It's like-
that
strategy.
seems like good.
It's tactics, strategy,
yeah.
risk, reward, or if they didn't even like that aspect, they could have just balanced the characters differently
Mm-hmm.
instead
sounds
of
hard,
like
though.
removing the system.
That sounds so hard.
I mean,
Just take it out. Just whatever.
gosh.
I mean, I don't know
Uh-huh.
anything about a game that would rather, take out an entire slot for a player to be in instead of actually balancing the game.
Man.
Those don't
Yeah.
exist.
Nah.
How did I know
But-
Overwatch is gonna get brought up?
But based on the being the developers of Battlerite, I bet combat's pretty good in V Rising. I just don't
The
know if I want to
combat
play
is
another survival
so
crafting like Valheim thing.
Yeah, I think the combat is so fun. The server that Alex has put up, which by the way, thank you again, is actually popping off. I ran into somebody today and I was like, I don't know who the fuck this person is.
Oh my god. Was his username Jux?
No,
No.
it was not. And so I was like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm a friend of one of Josh's friends." And I'm like, "Whatever,
Who's
welcome."
Josh?
Josh was a dude that I knew that I gave the code to, and I was like, "Hey, get your friends to join us," and they fucking did. So I was like, "All right, this is cool." So
Cool.
there's actually like about 10 or so people that are like running around on the server.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's
That's
kind
cool.
of nice to actually like bump into people in the wild, because at first it was just like me and like 2 other people, and that was only when all of us were on. And since it's our server, I think it's way better because it stays up all the time, which I don't know why they ever had the ability. When I first started playing this game, my friend was like, "Oh, you should join my server," and I was like, "Sure," but it was only up whenever he was online. Because he had to host it
Yeah, I
from
had to
his.
run
I
the
don't know.
server. Yeah.
He just hosts it when he plays, and then when he's not playing, it's down.
Which
Mhm.
I was like, well, I can never catch up to you. I can never do anything. Like, I just have to
Yeah.
sit and like, I literally had to like message him while he was at work to turn his computer on because he was working from home. So I was like, dude, turn your computer on so I could play. And I was like, this is stupid.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You're telling me this man's at home and he turns his computer off?
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't
people
understand
leave their
people like
home
that.
and turn their computer off. Mine stays on
I don't
24/7,
understand.
Oh my
365.
It's like people think they're saving power when in reality it takes more power to turn on the computer than actually like just leaving it idle.
Also, it's more wear and tear. The more you're turning
Yeah.
that thing on and off and spinning up drives, I guess if
Yep.
people are still using actual, disk
Drives
drives.
that
But
spin.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so having a nice permanent home for people is kind of nice. And I was on a public server, which was, fun, but it was public PvP. So you walked into a place and you didn't know what you're doing, and then you get stabbed, and you're like, okay, this is fine.
Yep.
But I left. I wasn't sure what you wanted, so I left PvP enabled on the server. Has anybody done any of that?
Yeah, that's the one thing as I say is like, I think because of the fact that like we all kind of know each other and it's kind of more private, that there hasn't been any PvP stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I could easily go raid my friend Josh's base and like go blow it up while he's offline. I'm not going to, but I could. And like same.
I like
he
having
could
the
do it to
option
ours.
available. You can
Yeah.
threaten it.
Yeah,
You
it's
like
nice.
having the option available to ruin somebody's fun.
Just
forever.
in case.
It is. There has been some kind of shenanigans, but there hasn't been anything like full on PvP. It has just been things of like my clan of people would like go over to a place and we'd see another clan, and then they would just be like, "Oh shit, they're here," and they would just then run away. because we could easily kill them if we wanted to, but we don't want to. And like I know everybody over there, so I was like, I'm not gonna do it, but like we could, and they're scared of us because we're higher level, so they just like fuck off. And I'm like, thanks. But yeah, like the one other shenanigans that I think is really interesting is that you have to in order to like leave the game, because your character is perpetually in the game, you need to like fall asleep inside of a crypt. And if you don't fall asleep inside of a crypt, then or coffin or whatever, then your person just like floats in midair, like they just lay down floating in midair, and they can die from any of the elements that are happening. But also other players can drag your body around, and so one of my friends like logged off in his base but didn't fall asleep in the crypt, and so I dragged him all the way to the entrance of a boss.
Oh no!
And so when he logged in, he like logs in, presses the W key because everything's still loading in, and the boss aggroes and punches him in the face.
That's pretty fun.
Nice.
Amazing.
I was like, I love this game mechanic. This is fantastic.
So is this ultimately going to be a similar game to Rust, where the community is going to be super toxic? It has a huge learning curve, and any PvP server that you go to, you're just going to get wasted by being a Bambi just on the side of the road?
I would say no. Honestly speaking, for the PvP server that I'm also playing on, because I'm playing on Alex's and also this public PvP one, everybody over there is pretty chill. Like, there is PvP happening, and they are like, you know, trying to organize raids on bases and things like that. But when like I would say I ran into probably about 10 to 12 people while I was running around, and like the higher level player would just like walk up to me, and 2 to 3 of those people actually tried to fight me or kill me because I was a lower level player and PvP's enabled. Everybody else was just like, hey, do you like want some stuff? And I'm like, sure. Or I'd like be able to ask questions in all chat, and people are like always very responsive of just being like, oh yeah, no, this is how we've set up the server, or this is what's going on, and oh yeah, this is how you get this resource, or like, oh yeah, I always farm over here, it's a pretty good spot. Like, so people seem to be kind of relaxed about it and not
See, you're playing at the perfect time, which is the beginning of this game, where everybody's just kind of like not bored with it yet, but once people get bored, then they get toxic.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't think anyone's gonna like the same thing of Valheim is that if they don't continuously add stuff, which there's like maps, the parts of the map that are grayed out, which obviously is like stuff that they're planning on adding into the map and bosses and things that they're going to add. If they don't add that relatively soon, this game's just gonna die the same way that Valheim did. Is it shows up, everybody thinks that it's cool, they play it, it gets huge numbers on Twitch and things like that. It's like a huge thing, and then after you've like, you know, climbed the mountain and you've made your base and you've got all of the bosses dead, you log off and you don't ever look at it again for a while.
Happens.
How does is your character like server bound, or are you like leveling?
You are
either server
bound, yeah. So both of my characters are vastly different.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no kind of cross progression in that kind of way. A lot of the progression I feel like is mainly resources, and also I think to my question of how this game is really going to work is also going to affect like your castle has a heart. It's called the castle heart, and the castle heart.
Whoa, wait.
That's a good name. Yeah. Absolutely.
I know, and the castle heart is the thing that like powers your castle, but as it, you know, you can only power it up to a point, and then after the power is gone, your castle starts to degrade. Okay, cool. If I stop playing this game for a month, is my castle just gone? Like, I'm curious to see what that's going to be like, because I feel like that's going to be a problem of like people are going to get to the point where they kill the bosses, they've built their castles, they've got all of their resources and stuff, and they go, okay, cool, I'm going to wait for, you know, the next patch, which might be like a month or two when they actually like have more stuff, and then you come back and then what, you got to grind through everything again? Like, that seems bad. I don't want
To
to do
me,
that.
what it sounds like from somebody who hasn't really even looked into the game,
Yeah.
it just sounds like the way it is going to live is the Rust kind of play style, where it's no longer about progressing to beat the bosses. It's progressing to where you have more stuff than the other person near you, and then you're going to take their stuff, kind of thing. Do you get your stuff taken, or is it just your castle gets broken down?
Depends on what kind of PvP your server is set up for.
Got it.
So like the server that I'm currently on, you can take any of the stuff that's in any of my chests when you blow up my base, but also like I can just go over to my after you've raided my place, I can press a button and my base pops back up. I still lose all of my shit that was in my base, but like all of the walls, all of the furniture, and all of that stuff comes back, and so that I only have to like go grind the materials over again. But there are some that like if you die or your base gets destroyed, you get none of that back, and everything's gone. And those are kind of like the hardcore PvP servers, which I am not on and doing, because that just seems like a pain in the ass if you spend all of your time trying to get like a weapon that's somewhat decent, and then someone kills you and takes that weapon, and then you don't have, you got to spend another 10 hours to get that weapon back. Like, I was like, yeah, fuck that. That seems awful.
I could definitely see streamers playing that mode and keeping this game alive. And then Castle Heart kind of makes sense, because then they're always going to be like playing the game to like keep that kind of beating. So I don't know about like casuals. The game will probably depopulate quite well, but kind of like Valheim, but there's probably going to be a core group of people that stick around. I feel the same way about Rust. I mean, I feel like there's a core group of people that play Rust, and then there's just like casuals tap into it every once in a while, but for the most part, I don't think it's like a growing community. There's pretty much the handful of people that play it, and that's it.
Let's move on. Jake, want to talk about Revengeance?
I would love to talk about Revengeance. So I played what I thought this was just like a random game, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It's a game from 2013. My little synopsis is that it's a Metal Gear Solid spin-off game about a cyborg ninja who gets in a fist fight with a U.S. senator and talks about memes with a terrorist made of magnets. So it's kind of a wild game. But what's really wild, so I just kind of picked this up. It's like been on my to-do list for ages. But apparently, since April of last year, its concurrent player count has gone up by 1,000%.
What?
Yeah, so like this game's just like making a comeback randomly. I don't really know why. Like there's a lot
you were cool. You thought you were a cool hipster, and then actually you're just
and then like I saw this article came up, and I was like, oh, I'm just like a poser, I guess. There's a lot of like Revengeance memes, which makes sense. It's a very memey game. One of my favorite YouTubers, Jacob Geller, did a whole video about it like a month ago, like right around when I started playing this. So that was just kind of like a weird context around this.
Player count went up because Jacob Geller made it.
I mean, I don't know. It probably contributed though.
Nah, it's the Horizon stream. It was Jake's fault.
It was definitely me. Yeah, dude. There were only 10 of us there, but it was an important 10. It was the 10 that mattered.
Word of mouth spreads fast.
That's right. Wildfire.
Final boss battle was popping, actually.
Yeah,
wild.
It's pretty crazy, dude. But I mean, it's a fun game sometimes. Other times, it's just like it can just be really frustrating, man. So like, it's a game about like it's like a Bayonetta style game, right? Over the top action, you do combos, whatever. But it's all about like parrying. But rather than like Sekiro, where you hit L1 and it's like, okay, you're gonna block stuff. Like, they're gonna try to hit you and you're gonna block it. This game's like, no. You gotta push the analog stick towards them and attack again. And if you time that right, you'll block. Which, like, when it works really well. It feels really fun, you're always attacking. Yeah, great, everyone loves that. But, like, if you don't time it right, or, like, your analog stick isn't quite right, because you're fighting a giant tank on robot legs, and so you weren't really sure where the attack counted from, you're just gonna do an attack, and they're gonna hit you and do, like, a bunch of damage. And that sucks. And then they also, like, there's no dodge button either. Like, you can unlock a dodge move, but it, like, sucks. I could never really get the hang of it. And maybe this is just like, I'm mad because I'm bad. But like, there are attacks that you can't block, so you gotta dodge. But there's no dodge button by default, so you're probably just gonna get hit by that too. So like, that's also not fun. But then other times, you get to run up missiles and cut a giant, like, kaiju robot in half with your samurai sword. And that's awesome. That's great. That's so fun. So it's really like, I don't know. It's tough to say, because sometimes it's awesome and sometimes it's really, really not awesome. Also, it does this, because it's like, it thinks it's a Metal Gear Solid game sometimes, there's like stealth parts, and they're all awful. None of them are good or fun at all. It's just run up and just start cutting people in half with your sword. That's what it's about. And it also does, like, these long codec conversations. And if anyone decides to play this game, skip all of them. They're not good, they're not funny, they're just long and boring. Just skip all of them. You'll still get to watch the cutscenes, which are fun and funny. So, like, don't listen to the codec conversations. They're bad. The one other thing that's really, really cool about this game, and it's a gameplay thing. So usually when you beat an enemy, they'll get like a little symbol on them, right? And you go into like your cut mode. You have a mode where you can like swing your sword any way. And if you cut them in a very specific part of their body, you cut them in half, and like some of their spine comes out. They're like robots. They have like some robot spine, and you can rip out their robot spine, crush it in your hand, and get all of your health and like slow-mo energy back. It's fucking awesome. It's so cool.
Sounds pretty doomy.
Yeah, it's like glory kills almost.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Only instead of just like pushing a button and he does it, you actually have to like line up your slice, and you can slice multiple people at the same time, and you'll go and you like grab like 5 spines and crush them all in your hand. It's so cool, dude. It's so cool.
Who's the Mortal Kombat guy who rips the spine out of the body? Is that Scorpio?
Yeah, it's Scorpio.
Scorpion, I mean? Scorpion?
No, it's Scorpio. Yeah,
yeah, Scorpio.
Scorpion. I think, I thought that was a Sub-Zero move.
Is it a Sub-Zero move? It's one or the other.
I
can't
think you're
remember.
right. Sub-Zero.
I think it's Sub-Zero.
I don't know. Whatever. It's one.
I was
He
thinking
freezes them, rips their spine.
I thought it was
That's
part
what
of
I'm thinking.
the come here move, where he like pulls him towards him with the chain and then just like uppercuts, rips his head off with his spine attached.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, that probably is the thing.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I saw the quality movies that are Mortal Kombat and or played
Also
the game.
known as the come here move.
Yeah, the come here move.
Which is actually the get over here.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll wrap up. Just a couple quick notes. One I wanted to mention, actually, we were talking about V-Rising, but I didn't get a chance to do it, is they currently have 70,000 concurrent players. It's number 7 on the Steam charts right now, which pretty impressive. Of equal note, and granted, I will say everything on this list is a multiplayer game, with the exception of, and not entirely, but with the exception of Elden Ring. I do realize that you can play Elden Ring in multiplayer mode, but from its like main standpoint, you are playing this as a single player game, at least traditionally. It is number 10 on the Steam charts still. This game came out in February. There's 58,000 people currently playing Elden Ring.
There was a mod created for it that you could run through with 2 people the whole game.
I heard.
Co-op.
And you got a horse.
Yeah, you get
ride your
torrent.
horse.
Yeah, which
You
is
don't
awesome.
get kicked out after arbitrary points in the game.
What a good idea. Anyway, I just wanted to mention I finally beat the game. I chose an ending in which I felt like I was fooled. I was bamboozled by one of the NPCs in the game because I missed a key storyline component that did not give me information that I wanted or I needed to understand what was going on. I envisioned what this NPC was telling me was that the world sucks, which it does. Anytime you're walking around in Elden Ring, it's awful, and that it just needs to be remade. I was like, oh, yeah, exactly. What a lovely idea.
Bro, I don't know about this. This is like if you played a game, and one of the endings you like went and you met the devil. And the devil was like, hey, dude, do my ending. And you were like, yeah, this is great. What could go wrong?
I think anytime you're faced with a choice and the outcome is like, let's just remake the entire world in our image, that's probably not the good one.
It's not even... It's not even really in our image. You have to...
Well, it really is. Because it was a demon-type thing that gave it to you.
Wait, I mean, kind of. Not really, kind of.
What? Do you remember the door they were behind?
I remember the door they were behind.
It was made of like flesh and blood.
I also remember they're two parts of the same basic component. So, like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see one as any more or less evil than the other because I missed the one. Okay, I know that there are people who have not finished this game. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about any ending things, but the Shabriri Grapes girl, I did not finish her quest at all. I never got past, like, the second time you give her a grape, which that's the one that gives you the information you really need to understand what's actually happening.
I don't know. I feel like
I mean, like, yes.
Your maiden kind of is like, maybe don't, like a bazillion times.
No.
Oh, wait. Did you have no maidens? Is that the
He was
problem?
maidenless.
Yeah,
I was maidenless. I was maidenless. That's the real problem. Anyway,
Makes sense.
incredible game. My game of the year for almost for certain. I love this game. If you've not played Elden Ring, go play it. It's absolutely incredible. It's beautiful. It's fun. The stories are excellent. Every part of the continent, every boss you fight, every small, constructed story element in the entire game is just so freaking well done. It's ridiculous. So go
Everything
play
in
it.
that game is excellent except for the frogs.
Oh,
They
the
could take out the
frogs.
frogs and I'd be happy.
You're talking about the ones that puke the stuff?
That's the
Hate
Dark
frogs.
Souls staple.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I
That's
see
a
them
Dark
and I'm like,
Souls thing?
oh, yeah, that's from Dark
Oh,
Souls
yeah.
1, baby.
Oh,
They're the worst.
As soon as I saw him, I like just this wave of dread.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yep.
I need to leave.
The one thing I will say about this game, and I mentioned it last time because I fought one of the hardest bosses in the game, and it took me a long time, and I was a little lower level than I think other people when they fought that boss. After I beat said boss, I went on to single fight the next, I think it was maybe 8 bosses after that. It was just one combat every time, and I won the rest of the game in one night. So I think the game does struggle a little bit from the open world concept in comparison to, and again, I have not played the other Dark Souls games really, but everybody tells me that it's really hard and grindy because you get to one boss and then you just face it over and over and over and over and over and over until you're done. Versus this, which is, I did that with one boss, and then I was so leveled, I wiped the floor with everybody else. It took nothing. It was just almost simple.
Yeah.
There's like
I'm gonna
two
say
sides
that's a
to that
you
coin.
problem.
That's a me problem?
Yeah, I think that's a you problem. Because
You
the
think I'm
entire
just-
design and like what everybody was praising Elden Ring for when it came out was that when you get to a point like that, you can just go do something else for a while. And then you come back at like the appropriate level for it.
Okay, for what it's worth, I did not fight that boss as many times as Caleb did. I only fought that boss probably like 25, 30 times. And on like,
She's basically impossible unless you use some overpowered strats.
yes.
Yeah.
Which,
And that's
like,
what
I
I
did
did.
the same thing. No shame. She's basically impossible.
I went, yeah. I mean, that's a whole other conversation about those strats. But I think it's just, you're probably right. I could have gone and done other things, but to me, that was the next logical step because there are components that you have to get from that boss fight in order to do specific things in the game if you want to do them. Which I chose not to do them after all, but
Yeah, she gives you the way to not do the devil ending.
yeah,
Aaron.
yeah. But I chose to just keep on trucking.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
I will
whatever.
also,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
before we move on real quick, on the same topic, right, leaving and leveling up to go do a boss is all well and good, but you can run into a situation, like there was a boss who I accidentally got way over leveled because I was scared of their area, and
Yeah.
I went in and I killed them in like 3 hits, and it was like, oh, this probably would have been like a really fun boss if I was like 15 levels lower.
Yeah.
That's something you definitely don't get in the base games.
Yeah.
They're very
Yeah,
linear.
like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, there's not... I mean, I guess you could just go grind and get really high level, but generally, if you're just going through, you're going to be the right level for
Yeah.
it to be like a really meaty but approachable challenge.
I think
That is like the element that changed in this game that everybody praised
Yes,
for
I mean,
making it so accessible.
I
I
think
think it's better than it is detrimental.
yes,
I guess.
I'll agree with that.
the accessibility seems great. I think the problem is it's bottom heavy. So you get all of it's difficult every boss fight for a long time. And then
Yeah.
when you're presented with so many options, you can go do whatever you want and just get so many, anywhere you want to get runes, you just go get them. And then you can gather them up and level up. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I feel confident I can walk into this next legendary boss fight and do okay. And then you wipe the floor. So it's not
Yeah.
like, And
So-
I mean, I guess they should probably have an in-game guide that says, all right, here's like the optimum level to fight in this region against these bosses. That might be helpful.
I feel like I feel like
Decent idea.
that could be a good idea, but at the same time, that goes against the model of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
this game goes against the model of Dark Souls, doesn't it?
Ultimately, I think Dark Souls, what it's built around, casuals don't usually go for it, but it's built around the New Game Plus. And so you basically go through Dark Souls on your first time, and you're exploring and you're figuring everything out. And then the next time you're challenging yourself, but you're still powerful. And so I almost think that Elden Ring, the first run through, yeah, you could probably out-level stuff, but now you know that. And so on your second run, you can go and challenge yourself on those bosses that, you know, you didn't beat before, or you did beat, but beat them in like 2 hits.
On my second
Sure.
run of this game that I spent 123 hours
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Elden
could
Ring
get that
being
with
New
like
Game Plus
a
related.
30-hour Dark Souls game where you're going to go play it twice. I mean, you could play Dark Souls 3-4 times in the amount of time it took me to play this game once, right? Because all the
I
other
mean,
games are 30
you'll-
hours approximately.
You'll beat it
Yeah.
like 50% faster now that you can
Oh,
sprint.
sure. That's
Yeah,
still
every
almost
70 hours.
200 hours in the game.
I
Anyway.
didn't know there was a sprint button.
I did.
Though.
For
Oh,
like-
gosh.
Yeah,
90
It was
hours.
90
90
hours.
hours.
Oh my
90
God.
90 hours. You didn't know there was a sprint.
I also feel like there are people out there that didn't go to every nook and cranny though, that are now
Absolutely.
in New Game Plus, and they did outlevel some bosses.
I mean,
That's
So-
a very valid point, but you will miss a lot of really cool things in the
Yeah.
game if you don't. So,
If
I
you
mean,
look at how long to beat Elden Ring,
yeah, it's a lie.
51 hours is main story.
I mean,
supposedly.
okay, main story.
Yeah.
But like, main plus extras 96, completionist 129.
Okay.
Seems about right.
So
Okay. So it's like double the length of a normal Dark Souls game. Not
people that
Not
actually go
4
do
times
all
the
the
length.
stuff.
Anyway, great game. Go play it if you haven't. Another great game, Tunic. I just started playing. I've played about I think like 3 or 4 hours into it already. Beautiful game. I love the music in it. I don't the whatever it's called, the journal logbook. I don't know what the actual term is in game, but
Manual.
Manual.
Yeah.
it's really neat. It's a really good idea, and it looks great. I don't know. I'm just very excited to play more into this game. I haven't played enough to really get like a good opinion of it, but it's fun so far.
Do you think they'll sell like a physical version of that manual?
That would be awesome.
Because I would
That would
be very
really
cool.
pay money for it. They absolutely should. That'd be some cool shit.
Yeah,
That'd be a
it'd
very
really-
fan gamer thing.
I mean,
Right.
Caleb, you have a copy of the book from
from Hollow
Gravity
Knight.
Falls, right? No, Gravity
Oh,
Falls.
from Gravity
Oh.
Falls. Yeah. Yeah, I have the
Yeah.
Gravity
Oh,
Falls book right
I have
there.
that.
Journal
Yeah.
3.
Too.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
Jake does too.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
freaking awesome, right?
Oh,
Like,
you
I
have the
love it when
freaking
they
I've got
take
the
elements
deluxe
from a game and do that.
edition. This has the
Blacklight
dark
UV
the
stuff.
black light.
Yes, that's so cool.
Jealous.
Let's jump into games. I wanted to talk about the one last game that I've been playing that multiple of us have, which is Roller Champions, or as we've been calling it, Roller Champs. Because we're champs. We're really freaking great. We're good at this game.
Wow. What a clever nickname for it.
Yeah. I know. It's really unique nickname. Roller Champions. Chad has been waiting on this game for like a really short period of time. I don't know. How long has it been delayed, Chad?
It was delayed for 2 years.
Just 2 years. Okay.
Oh wow.
I played in the live test, which back then I was just kind of like, eh. So like it wasn't heartbreaking to me that I waited 2 years because I forgot about the game until somebody recently told me that it was coming out.
Fun fact.
So yeah, roller what's up?
I was just gonna say, fun fact. We interviewed the community manager for this game.
Oh, sick.
So go check out the interview that we did with Rick Stanford, because he was the community manager for this a couple of years back, and we interviewed him about it. So
Nice
cool.
little
Plug.
plug.
Nice.
Yeah, so
continue.
Roller Champions is a game where you are on rollerblades, going extremely fast around a donut, and you are trying to score a ball in the El Dorado goal. The Road to El Dorado goal.
Oh.
That's
cool.
nice. That's a really good. Yeah. Good visual.
So basically the rule is that, you have to go counterclockwise through 4 gates. They're at the, like, what would you call them? Like the corners of the map. Yeah. You go through them. Once they're all unlocked, you can score a goal. And if you go around again, you can score. Does it go up by 3 then and 5?
1.3 points, 5 points, depending on how many times you go around with the ball.
And if you get to the 5 points, then you win the game.
Automatically.
Yeah, any team that gets to 5 points to
win.
Wins.
So
I think the game is it's 3-on-3. I think it's got potential. It's kind of cool, but it also suffers from the same thing that Rocket League does, which is people are going to get way too good at the game, and then you're just not gonna have any chance of playing against them.
Yeah, it's got such wild mechanics, like being able to jump like 15 feet in the air with the touch of a button. The people are gonna just start building on those and get ridiculous.
Yeah,
never touch the ground again.
In Rocket League, like there is a curve. Like you can accelerate, you can get better, but then there's a point at which people know how to aerial, and that is like literally the cutoff. If you cannot do that, you do not play in the upper levels of Rocket League, period. And I think this game is going to run into that same. We were watching a TikTok video that Chad sent over earlier. The dude's like rolling the ball up the side of the wall and then jumping up and catching it himself and then going back down and getting more speed, just flying around the court.
Which, like, Alex did bring up a point that clip was like semi-doable. Like, if we actually put some time and effort into it, like all of us could probably do that. The one that I sent to just Caleb and Alex before you played the game, Aaron, this man was uppercutting, throwing the ball against the other wall, and staying in the air away from everybody, and just constantly grabbing the ball, throwing it against the wall, uppercutting, grabbing the ball. He was just staying in the air forever. It was ridiculous.
He stayed
at at the height of the uppercut. He stayed at that level and rode around the entire loop, and then just like threw it in.
Yeah. What a fun game.
That was crazy.
Does it reset your jump when you throw the ball?
It's got to reset the uppercut somehow.
You can uppercut again like after uppercutting.
Yeah.
You just keep uppercutting?
If you touch the wall, I think you can uppercut again.
Wow. Because that makes sense. You can jump vertically off of a vertical wall. Yeah, got it.
Well, I mean, the rest of the game's physics don't make sense, so
that's true. Because there would be a bunch of dead people if people were playing this sport for sure.
Yeah, we just like air tackle somebody from like 40 feet away.
Yeah. Also,
you're like somebody.
You're like booking it around this donut. It's like an elongated donut. You're booking it around it, and if people are like way in front of you, you'll turn around as like the opposing team, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna frickin' haymaker this guy when he comes around the corner. It's full speed, 60 miles an hour. 2 of you could just bam. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I think base gameplay, when played as like a team sport, it's a lot of fun. Like you're passing, you're defending each other, making plays like that. Pretty cool. As long as nobody gets like crazy and starts doing weird tech, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Doing a play it like the way it's meant to be played, in my opinion.
Doing a cool team play feels awesome in that game.
Yeah.
You like ride up to your friend and you can hold left bumper to like grab their shoulder, and you let go of it and you like just push off of them and you go like super fast down the lane. And then Alex was telling me that you do that, and if the person has the ball is the one that you're about to push off of, if they pass it to you, you could just like shoot off with the ball. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do.
You can hand the ball over. I found that out. You can hand the ball over when you're hanging off.
We did that accidentally once.
Yeah. There's also drafting in the game. Like if you ride behind somebody, you'll gain speed, which I didn't know about. Which is why everybody always catches up to you when you have the ball. Because you have the ball in front, and then somebody's trying to catch up to you from behind. They're gonna inherently move faster than.
Yeah.
The game currently does suffer from some networking issues. I know of the 4 games that we played, somebody disconnected in 3 games, and in 2 of them they couldn't reconnect, I think.
In the games that Aaron, Alex, and I played, there was no disconnects. There was one or two games that I played without anybody, and I disconnected, and when I reconnected, I was actually able to use my character. So it's almost like they released a hotfix like that night to kind of get around all that.
It's a cool game. It'll be interesting to see
How ridiculous people
again,
get at it.
exactly how ridiculous people get at that game, because that's going to determine whether or not we keep playing it.
Mhm.
I'll be excited to watch like the esports of that game. Honestly,
Mhm.
like this is one of those like Rocket League. Like you can just turn on Rocket League esports anytime, and you'd be like, yeah, I understand this. That's the same type of scenario where you probably like it might take you a second or two because it's not just soccer.
Yeah.
But what like anybody can pick up the knowledge to know how to play that game and then start watching it like a true sport.
Good game. One other thing we should talk about in Games World, TI-11 was just announced.
Speaking of esports.
Yeah, speaking of esports, good job, Alex. You know what? I should have you start transitions from now on.
That's the Dota International, right? For people who
Yes,
don't
the
Yeah,
Dota
the
International. Everybody knows the Dota International is called the
Not everyone
International,
knows that.
Caleb.
The
Come on.
International.
know. Well, they
that's
definitely don't
it.
know it's called TI.
Oh, sorry.
TI-11.
That's
TI-11.
also a type of calculator. so
The
you know.
International 11. Very important. Alex, do you want to talk about this? You put it on here.
Yeah. Just want to mention they announced it. It's in Singapore, which I think, from what I looked up, is a better time zone for us. We'll get to start like watching it later in the evening, and
not
then
going?
maybe not finish it. But
I would love to go.
um,
I've seen Crazy Rich
Interesting.
Asians. That place looks awesome.
Got some
interesting
friends there you
thing
might be able
about
to stay.
traveling
Yeah, I
to
was gonna say, our
Singapore.
friend's family's there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just moved there specifically for the international. Actually,
Yeah.
Weird.
Makes
huge
sense.
Dota fans.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people in the subreddit are complaining about traveling to the international this year because they are changing like the schedule for how it works. It's not going to be like the main event is not going to be like condensed into a week. They're kind of spreading it out.
Mhm.
Really?
A lot of people are saying it's similar to the format that League does with Worlds. So you have last chance qualifiers 8th through the 12th of October, then group stage 15th to the 18th, and then you have main stage 20 to the 23rd, and then you got to wait until the 29th for the finale. 29th to the 30th.
Whoa.
That's really spread out.
A whole
Right?
week. Wow.
So if you want to go watch main stage and finals, you have to go for like 2 weeks to Singapore.
Heck yeah. Sounds
I
like
was
a
gonna
great
say, yeah.
vacation.
I mean, if you're gonna go to Singapore, you might as well fucking go to Singapore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so much more expensive to go on a 2-week trip versus a 1-week trip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
So, I
like
mean,
should rent
shout
out a
out
two
theater.
twice as
times the
much.
expense.
Yeah, roughly.
I mean, I have to also imagine that it's expensive for them to, like,
Host.
basically rent the place and host all of it for 2 straight weeks. Like, you know, that's a
Yeah, that's true.
you're talking about you know, doing something close to Olympic level at that point, and you're not even doing multiple sports. You're doing one thing, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
that-
do wonder, like, what's the upshot for them spreading it out so much?
I don't
Is
know.
it just to
That's
give the players
a,
time?
They don't give a shit about the players, do they?
I wouldn't
they're,
think
they're
so.
playing video games. They'll be
So
fine.
they're-
I know, but
their statement is in our constant efforts to make the event and its broadcast as exciting and accessible as possible, we're experimenting with a slightly different schedule that includes more breaks and a greater build to finals.
Mhm.
I mean, from a streaming perspective, I imagine it would be a more fun watch than just sitting down and being like, all right, 10 hours of watching Dota or whatever.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
maybe
it's
that's
so
fine
good,
for
though.
you guys. But as a normal person, being like, oh, dude, I'll just catch the game that played today or whatever, makes it much more approachable than, oh, I have 5 hours to catch up on.
I
Yeah,
don't
see,
know.
all I'm
There's something
hearing is
about-
that we're saving money by not going to Singapore, so we should just rent out a theater.
Mm.
I
There's
think
something
we're-
about the international being on, and you're just like, all right, time to watch 12 hours of Dota today.
Man,
That
I
all
don't
I'm
know what
doing is
that's
sitting in
like.
this spot.
I really,
watching
would
Dota.
hate that so much. I can't even imagine.
I'm really thinking about going down to Texas because they're going to have the Dota Pro Circuit majors in Arlington this year, which is the first time they've had a major in the United States in like Man, a lot, like 5 or 6 years. It's been a long time since a major's been here. And it's not super far away. And it's down but it's in August is the problem. And Texas in August is like a billion
road
The
trip.
worst place to be ever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just go from house to car to house.
Yeah,
You
pretty
don't
much.
do the outside part.
There is no exploring Arlington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. You can do
Oh, you
it
have to
from
wear
your Uber.
shorts.
First major in the US in 6 years. So it'll be pretty cool to see. Okay. Other things we should talk about. PlayStation just had their what the heck is
State
it
of
called?
Play.
State of Play.
State of
Oh
Play.
yeah, there we go. State of Play earlier. A couple of us watched it. Anything specific we should talk about? Just notes on
Yeah,
What's going on?
I got the whole thing. I
mean-
literally I like sat down to get ready for the podcast and I was like, oh, PlayStation's doing a thing.
I
So
should
just
have
watch the
joined
whole
it. We
thing.
watched it live.
Yeah.
Did you? Shit. Yeah, I did too. I didn't realize you guys. I guess I should have checked.
Is this actually why we pushed the podcast back?
Yeah, because of State of Play specifically.
Got it.
No,
Got
it ended before our normal start time. Not even.
Okay.
Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out next
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
That's like
That's-
exciting.
That was pretty soon, I thought, the date.
Yeah, March of next year,
What-
which is weird because I feel like we don't know anything about it. I mean,
Right?
obviously
There have
Resident
been
Evil 4.
rumors about it, but
Yeah, but this is the first time I think they've shown anything of it. Yeah.
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 So that's pretty exciting. They're also doing Resident Evil 8 VR, which I guess shouldn't come as a surprise.
A lot of
Mhm.
Feels
PlayStation VR 2
inevitable.
stuff.
Yeah, have they announced PlayStation VR 2 previous to this?
I guess they must. I mean, they must have because there wasn't
I
any
feel like they
information
must
on it. It's
have.
just a bunch of games about it.
I just didn't
And
know
I'd
about
never
it.
heard anything about it.
I don't know PlayStation VR to be honest.
They
But
had
they are-
a lot of PlayStation VR 2 or whatever it's called stuff
Yeah.
coming out. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, No
Mhm.
Man's Sky, then both the Resident Evils.
And
new Horizon
Horizon
game.
Zero Dawn,
Oh, that's right.
Not Zero Dawn.
It's
a
a
new
different
game
thing.
that's VR specific.
Horizon 3 Dawn, Horizon VR Dawn.
Horizon
It's like
VR
Horizon-
Call of the Mountain.
There it is.
Yes, Call of
That'd
the
be
Mountain.
Horizon
What a
2
bad
Dawn, right?
name. I don't know, but I mean, maybe it's because I'm so sensitive. But that trailer made me feel motion sick just watching it. I was like, there's a lot of moving and a lot of like climbing. There was a swimming part. Oh my god.
The swimming part would be weird. I've never
I
tried
can't-
swimming in VR.
I cannot even imagine. Sounds hellish.
So they have announced PSVR 2 previous to this.
Okay.
That makes
It looks
sense.
pretty sweet. It's got a 4K HDR 120 frames screen.
Wow.
Pretty solid.
That's alright. That's not bad. That's not bad.
OLED.
110 degree field of view. Eye tracking.
That's about normal, right? 110 now. Normal.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing inside out tracking like the Quest.
Nice. So all you need is a headset. You don't need controllers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Interesting.
What else? So they're porting Spider-Man over to PC.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to buy it. I already have Spider-Man, but I'm excited that they're porting more of their stuff. I think that's
Because that
great.
means they get closer to porting Bloodborne.
I just want to play Bloodborne in 60 FPS.
Man. It was so funny when they were like, new Sony product coming to PC, and Caleb's sitting in the channel. He's like, Bloodborne, Bloodborne, Bloodborne. And then they're like, Spider-Man. And I'm like, oh.
Oh,
Hey.
okay, all right.
Play Spider-Man. That
someday.
sounds cool.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
Spider-Man's
as somebody
cool.
who hasn't gotten a chance to play the quintessential Spider-Man game, apparently, I'm excited that it's finally coming to
It's
me.
really good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
You guys will have a great time.
Really good. Is Miles Morales coming to PC? They didn't mention that, but I'm
They,
curious.
didn't
they just
say
said
enough.
Spider-Man like remastered or something.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be weird if you didn't include the Miles Morales stuff,
Yeah.
at least as like an add-on.
Like,
But
technically, it's a separate game, but maybe it'll all be included.
well, that's what they did with the Final Fantasy VII remake. They only ported remake into Grade, which is with the new DLC and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they added a DLC to include like Yuffie and some more
Um,
her quest line.
they did
Interesting.
announce in a blog post today that Miles Morales would also be coming to PC, but it's going to be fall 2022.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. This
Okay.
one was like really soon, right? It was like August.
August
Yeah,
or
it's
July,
this
I
year.
think.
It's on my birthday.
Shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
August
is
12th.
August
that
12th.
is close.
August 12th of this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real soon.
yeah.
I'm
All
about
their stuff looked
that.
like it was coming out real soon, except for the
Yeah,
very
I was
first thing
really
they showed.
surprised. There was a game that I thought for sure was Dead Space. I thought
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
the Dead Space remake, and I was like, wow, they're doing
We were
a
talking
great
about
job
how
with
it's
this
Dead
remake.
Space.
It's not Dead Space. It's called Callisto Protocol. But it looks fucking awesome. It looks so
Oh,
good.
you didn't know they
So-
renamed Dead Space?
Yeah, I mean,
couple-
I believe it.
Couple things about that game. We were watching it. We're like, "Is this the Dead Space remake?" And then we're watching it. We're like, "Yeah, it's a Dead Space remake." And then we're like, "Wait a second, is it not Dead Space?" And then I'm like, "I don't see like the shoot off the limbs gun anywhere."
Hmm.
So where's that at?
Yeah, I was like, wow, they're really ballsy with this remake, changing a lot of stuff, but still clearly Dead Space. And then it came out, I was like, oh.
And I looked into it. Apparently, the guy that started the studio that's making this game was a co-creator of the original Dead Space.
Bruh, that's awesome. That's so good.
So-
Dead Space was taken from us too soon.
Also, fun fact: this game used to be in the PUBG universe, but is no longer
That's
What?
so
in the
Huh?
PUBG
weird.
universe.
What?
What is the PUBG universe?
Apparently, when they first announced this game, they were like, this is a game that's going to exist in the PUBG universe."
Are
What's
they
this that even mean?
are they trying to say that they have like a real universe where people drop in on a ship and shoot each other on an
Yeah,
island?
I don't.
That
that's
doesn't
real.
sound very realistic for a universe.
Gosh.
I mean, like, Fortnite's universe works because they actually have, like, lore behind it, and they've created this, like, storyline. Like, just saying, oh, this other game that has nothing to do with PUBG, it's a PUBG
Yeah.
universe.
But also, I feel like Fortnite's so over the top that they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, Spider-Man's in this universe now. And it's like,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
that fits in really well,
Right.
actually. But having,
The,
like, a tactical military thing...
I'm wondering
I
when the
don't know.
Fortnite movie's coming out. It's got to be something
Honestly.
down the pipeline.
I'm sure there will be.
The Callisto Protocol trailer gave me, because I've never played the Dead Space games, it gave me Soma vibes. I don't know.
Okay.
Like,
Could
Okay.
understand
Like,
that.
aesthetically,
Yeah.
sure, I
Yeah,
can feel
yeah,
that.
yep.
I just, man, because there's even that thing where your health is on your character.
Yeah.
Like, all
yeah.
the HUD is, like, integrated in universe. That shit's so cool.
I love that crap. It's
Yeah,
so
it's a
Right?
PUBG
I mean,
thing.
God. Yeah, yes, they're just ripping off PUBG. Also, I thought it was so funny you guys were talking about a freaking, like, roller rink game, because there was a roller
Yeah.
rink game in
yeah,
the
Yeah.
state of play.
like a
Rollerblading's
shooter.
real big right now.
Rollerblading
Yeah,
shooter.
so weird. I've
And
not
also,
thought
it didn't
about...
look PvP. It looked like a single player game or something.
Did it?
I thought it did.
I assumed
All the
it was
enemies didn't look
multiplayer.
like other players. They looked
There was
like
also a lot of slow-mo going on, and I couldn't figure out how in the world they were going to incorporate that in-game to make it, I don't know.
My guess is just that it's early, but
trailer.
they wanted to include it. Yeah, so they were like, just put something in there. Just slow it way down, play some cool music, it'll be fine.
Again,
It is
like
single player.
with people thinking
It's
about,
early.
player.
like when the trailer started, yet another trailer where people were like, all right, this is a game that I've seen before, because this is,
Yeah.
what's the name of
It started, and I was like, "Oh, it's Sable." I was
Sable.
like, "Wait, that's game."
It looks so much like Sable.
like,
It's the
Oh,
exact
yeah.
same art style.
You're right.
I wasn't even watching the screen, and then somebody made a comment about rollerblades or something, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Sable.
What else? So the next one, Eternites. It doesn't.
Terrible
I don't think
name.
it's gonna be good. It doesn't
No.
look like it's gonna be
Man,
good.
what
It
a bad
doesn't
name.
look good. It's got a terrible name.
But the tagline was "Action games and dating sims collide,"
Mm-hmm.
and there was a part where you push R2 to hold hands.
Yep.
So like,
I laughed
it's
at that.
probably gonna be funny.
Oh man.
What? Oh, Street Fighter 6.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Looks like it has some sort of open world piece to
Yeah,
it.
what the fuck? Like, what the
So
actual fuck is that? I'm a little worried. That's just like in Dragon Ball Xenoverse, there's like a hub area,
Mm.
but it's just like a menu that's harder to get around. That's what I'm a
Yeah.
little worried it's gonna be.
I was
Oh,
also
yeah.
wondering if it was just going to be something bad like that.
But like the idea of like a Street Fighter game with like an actual like main story mode that's not just like, oh, here's 5 fights we put in a row. It's a story mode, trust us.
I like
I think that's
I weirdly got like Yakuza vibes from the
Sure.
trailer.
Okay, I mean, there was a lot of like walking around the city and you find someone, they're like, huh, you think you can fight me? And it's like, it's a fighting game, yeah, probably.
The graffiti aesthetic was pretty cool.
Yeah, it does, it's a nice looking game. Ryu with a beard.
They
I'm
like
here for it.
evolved from like the calligraphy aesthetic for like
Mhm.
graffiti, and it looks very like a natural evolution. It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I feel like Street Fighter V isn't that old, but maybe I don't keep up with Street Fighter that much, so maybe I'm just
Yeah,
wrong
me
about
neither.
that.
Yeah. I saw the trailer and then I was like, I'm excited to not play that when it comes out. Because I probably won't play it again. But it looks cool. I'm happy for fighting game fans. I don't know.
I've been testing the waters of fighting games, I guess I'll say. I found out
Dipping
Alicia
the
really
toe.
likes Tekken.
Oh.
So we've been playing some Tekken. Tekken, I don't know
7?
the newest one. 7? Sure, whatever. And like, fighting games are just hard to get into, but I like them in theory at least.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it a try. I'm trying it out.
The moves look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moves look cool.
Yeah, that's about
Wow.
all I got for fighting games.
Nice.
Speaking of looking cool, the only other thing I have down is Final Fantasy 16.
Right?
I don't know what to expect from that game.
Really excited
But
to not
it
play
looks
that game
cool.
too.
Yeah.
I've got something that came out of the PlayStation thing. I believe that
Oh,
they
I know.
announced when Stray is actually coming out.
It was gonna be
Oh, they
Yeah,
did.
Stray. Yeah.
Which I've been hyped for that game. So the fact that there's finally a release date and it's next month, awesome. I'm in.
I'm
Thank you.
very worried that game's gonna be 90% a stealth game. And
Oh, I
not-
thought you
Yeah,
like stealth
it looks like
games.
that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't anymore.
You don't anymore?
The
Oh my
last ones
god.
I've played have not. I like stealth action games, but just stealth, pure stealth. I'm not a fan.
Oh, you should play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
That's not a.
That's an
stealth.
action stealth.
That's just action.
There's a
And I've
stealth
tried that game.
stuff.
I cannot get into it. It is a little too ridiculous for me.
Oh, and I hope you know it's not like a game that you take pictures of cats. Like you
Oh,
play
no,
as the cat.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm excited
wanna make
for
sure.
it, though, because I mean, it just seems like a game that I might be actually into, you know, like a game that you might like. Just I don't know. It just looks cool. I'm very
looks
intrigued
neat.
by it.
I just hope it's not all stealth.
Environments look really cool in that game.
Do we know really anything about what it is?
You play as a cat.
It's
I know you
by
play as a
Annapurna.
cat and you walk around.
Everyone seems scared of you.
You can
I
lick your
mean,
butt.
Same.
You can
Great.
lick your butt. Didn't know about that.
You can
I
lick
didn't
your
know
butt.
that. That's good information.
Nice.
Cool. I take it
This
all
went
back.
from a
Game
maybe
of the
to a
year.
purchase now.
Yeah.
That's what puts you over the edge right there.
Yeah, this put me right over.
I just know it's by Annapurna, and I love everything else they do. So I'm
Annapurna does
hoping
good
that
stuff.
this kind of follows
Publishes good
that.
stuff.
Anything else from the PlayStation thing we need to mention? We'll look at the list.
That's almost
That-
everything. Tunic's
That
coming
Final
out.
Fantasy game looks freaking wild. I don't.
It's
I didn't
I don't-
understand. Like,
I had no idea what was
Yeah, me
happening.
neither.
It looks
there's a lot
insane.
of demons and like gods, and they're like punching
The
each other and
Dragons,
stuff.
maybe.
The part where they
Yeah.
sing the names of all the
Yeah.
gods or whatever they are, that was very funny.
Very pleasant.
I was a little surprised. I thought we would be getting Final Fantasy VII news
Mhm.
because it's like that game
Yeah.
is like 15 year something like that, 30 year
I
news.
saw the trailer for 16 and I was like, don't they have like 2 more parts of 7 to make? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. We're supposed to be getting Final Fantasy VII news sometime this month.
Yeah.
But what the fact that it wasn't in this makes me a little worried that the news is going to be there's no news. It's going to be
It
a
could
Silk
be-
Song.
They could be holding back big announcements for the Summer Game Fest thing that's happening next week.
That could be.
Because that
It's
seems to
possible.
be where E3 has diverted to at this point
Mhm.
since E3 got canceled.
Yeah.
Let's hope
Okay.
that's the case.
I mean, fingers crossed. I'd love to hear more about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Quick duck into board games. Wanted to mention Pandemic Legacy Season 0. Alex, Janae, my cousin Missy, and I just finished this game. When was that? Was that last week? Last weekend?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Probably my least favorite of the 3, actually, between
Wow.
Season 1, Season 2, and Season 0, but it makes sense because it's the lowest on the number scale.
Mhm.
And yes, it does, in
perfect
fact, go
sense.
Season 1, Season 2, Season 0. If you wanted, you could play them out of order. There are things that tie in, but I will say that if you ever decide you want to play all the Pandemic Legacies, you should probably play them in the order that they're produced. At least play the Season 1 first, then you can do Season 2 and Season 0 in whatever order you want, because they're so disconnected and so different than what like traditional Pandemic is. The board game. The other two games are they've diverted drastically from the like the core concepts of how you play Pandemic. So I will still give it, like, 2 thumbs up for a legacy board game. It's still a lot of fun. 12 to 24 playthroughs. I feel like we dominate every time we play. We, in fact, got to the very last mission on the last month of December and finally had a character die. That was the first time we'd had a character die the entire time we've been playing. So I think we're just good at board games.
It was because
Alex.
Aaron was dumb.
I was dumb. As
pointed out by Janae several times while we were playing.
That sounds right.
If we would have played the game like once a month like you're supposed to, I probably would have remembered that we had that little map, but I kind of looked at it and thought, oh, whatever, it doesn't even matter.
Whatever, huh?
It mattered a lot.
It mattered a lot.
I instantly died when I walked into a room. They have this mechanic where you're not just playing on a board, you're also playing on like this little sideboard where you're infiltrating a base. And we had a map, and the map had a hole burnt in the middle of one of the buildings on the base.
I see.
And I just thought, oh, I don't know, maybe it had a label on it or something, and it was supposed to be like a good thing. No, it means if you go in there, you get burned. And that's
Why
what
would
happens.
you assume it's a good thing?
I don't know.
What a weird assumption. Although you are the guy who got a deal from the devil and went, this is probably good.
It's a spot on the map that was burned away, and like losing your character in that game is called getting burned.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Interesting.
I should have put it together. I just, whatever. We were trying to get through the missions. Anyway, it was fun. Couple things in film world. Kenobi came out. Owen, are you the only person who's watched?
Am I? Am I?
I think so.
Person that's actually watched Kenobi?
I think so.
I mean, I mainly wanted to bring it up not because of a review of it itself, but mainly of just like it is. By hours, the most watched Disney Plus premiere of all time. Which, I mean, Disney Plus hasn't been out for very long, so yeah. But yeah, it's apparently their biggest thing that they've launched, and so that's, I think, pretty chill. It's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. I will not say what I want to say.
Good call.
Because I know everyone's gonna judge me for it, but it exists.
It is their lowest rated in Rotten Tomatoes, out of Mandalorian, Boba Fett.
Man,
Kenobi.
it's lower rated than Boba Fett.
Boba Fett is 59% audience score, and so I had to say this because watch Kenobi 58.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I liked Boba Fett a lot, so I don't know. That is a fair judgment. I definitely think The Mandalorian is better.
Mandalorian's got like a 92%.
Yeah,
like everyone loves
Mandalorian. Slaps. This is it's there. It's Star Wars. I'm always a fan of getting more Star Wars. I know a lot of people are very hype on it. Because you got to see Hayden Christensen and Ian McGregor back and everything, but I'm I don't know. I feel part of it dilutes that time frame between 3 and 4. Like there are some good things about it of being like, wow, this is really cool. I'm so glad that I'm getting to see this side of this character that would or things that we don't get to see from these characters. But part of it also just seems a little weird when you're like. It seems odd when characters are interacting with the way that they are in episode 4 after seeing the events of this, because you're like, you just saw them like 5 years ago. This is not the way that you'd interact. Seeing I'm trying to not be very spoilery here, but like the fact that Obi-Wan and Leia are together at some point, and Leia distinctly knows that this is Obi-Wan, and it's just like, okay, cool. Then why the hell do you like mention, oh, you're a friend of my father's? It's like, bitch, you know him too. Like, it's very weird when you now have that message in episode 4, the way that she phrases everything, because it's like, no, you know who he is. You like, he literally saved your life. Like, you know exactly who this guy is. And I don't like that. But it's Star Wars. People should watch Star Wars.
And it had a big opening with Disney Plus.
Big opening.
Other things that had a big opening. Top Gun Maverick, Memorial Day weekend, actually beat the current record for the most money brought in box office over Memorial Day weekend, which was previously held by Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. So granted, if you account for inflation, probably Pirates of the Caribbean's winning because that was back in 2007. But still, 124 million domestic box office for Top Gun Maverick, which is Tom Cruise's highest opening weekend film of all time, like doubling his last highest or second highest film.
This is his first 100 million.
First 100 million. Also,
Surprising.
this movie slaps. Incredible. Freaking,
Super
I was on
good.
the edge of my seat the whole time. It was just so good.
What,
And it-
what's it
What?
about? Like I know it's a Top Gun movie. Okay, cool. But like, I don't know. Like, is he actually doing stuff other than being like, I'm going fast?
No, it's a movie where he goes fast in a plane and then they cut the credits. That's the
I
whole
mean,
thing.
that's kind of what I assume Top Gun is. So
It's funny because the opening sequence is literally him going fast.
Yeah.
There it is. What more do you
is.
need?
Like,
Like
I don't
it's
know. Is
it's
there,
all
like,
about him going fast. Like that is the point of the scene.
So I think all of us walked into the movie probably having like somewhat similar expectations. We'd all seen the original Top Gun. We're all probably thinking, I don't know how this can be that dramatically different because they're just going back to Top Gun school. It's again Tom Cruise. It's just 30 years in the future or whatever. But it surprised me on almost every level. It did a good job of playing off of what happened in the 1986 film. It did a good job of being its own thing. It also did a good job of like sitting in like where movie culture is right now, which is with action films. It needs to be like much more action oriented than action films back in the 1980s because they were not as action oriented. They were very much like a lot of dialogue, a lot of really drawn out scenes. This did not feel like that at all. It was just so well done. I was very impressed. I don't know
There's
if you guys
one
were kind of on the same
sequence-
level as me.
There's one sequence in the movie that's just amazing. It is like nothing but tension for a really long span of time. And it does
Yep.
it so well.
I had to like pull myself out of the movie for a second and be like, I need to calm down for a second. Like
is in comparative tension,
just, like,
is it
too
as
tense.
good as the Vulture driving Spider-Man to prom in Homecoming? 'Cause
wow, that's an example.
that I'm sorry. That scene is a fucking masterclass in building tension because
That
there
scene
is
very, very good.
there is
It's
no
really good.
music. There's no use of like camera tricks or anything like that. It is literally just two camera shots that is cut back and forth, building the tension, and it is just pure fucking dialogue that is giving you. And like that, it is a masterclass of building attention in a movie without doing all of the gimmicks and tricks.
I
So
mean,
that's why
I'd
I'm
say
saying
it's
it's
quite
like
similar in design.
okay.
Yeah, because in this movie, the scene is like, if you imagine like Top Gun, what you're thinking about is people like doing like crazy stunts in fighter planes.
Yep.
They've just taken off from a carrier, and it's just them flying like 50 feet over the ocean for a really long period of time with like no music, the sound of air, and just them talking in radio about what they're about to go into, which is about to be like one of the craziest stunts anybody's pulled off. Like miracle
Yeah.
after miracle after miracle has to happen for them
So-
to actually succeed.
To answer your original question, what is this movie about? The general plot outline is there is a very dangerous mission that has to be undertaken by the Navy. And it has a lot of very unique constraints to do with flying fighter jets that have not really been accomplished in the field before. And Tom Cruise's character is brought in as like the ace pilot that is the only person with experience enough to be able to teach these new pilots how to handle the situation they have to go into.
Not new pilots
Yeah.
necessarily. I mean, they're
Well,
like top of their
they're all
class
Top Gun
pilots.
graduates. Yeah, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
I mean that is the plot, but they do a lot to play off of that,
Yeah.
and like character development stuff. Like, it's not just cool action. It's like a lot of like good plot moments, a lot of good character development.
There's a good part of the storyline has to deal with what happened in the first movie with Rooster and his son, and like that whole part of the story is just really well written. Or sorry, Goose, because Brewster is the son. Yeah, like that story is just really well written, and I don't know, it just delivered. It was an enjoyable film.
Yeah, I'll say the original Top Gun for me is like, man, it's pretty good, but Maverick is a really good movie, really solid.
Yeah. The scene towards the end, there's a scene towards the end where they're fighting, they're like flying an older jet, and they're flying next to like a newer jet that's on the enemy side. And there's like a couple moves that are made in those jets that are just like the wildest thing you've ever seen in the air. Super cool. Also, I learned that it costs, we learned that it costs $11,000 an hour for them to rent these fighter jets from the Navy in order to fly them.
Yep.
So that's some money.
Like most of the
that's
like
a lot of
flying
money.
and
Yeah.
like, filming of the jets was all practical effects. So
yeah.
I found out that most of the actors and everything, they're in the back seat, and there's like a real Navy fighter pilot flying them around. That's how they film most of that.
Interesting.
So a lot of the reactions you see of them when they pull G's and they like are quote unquote acting, it's not really like they're acting. They're just like actually experiencing that and reacting to it.
Yeah. Crazy. Two other things we need to talk about in film world. Number one, Love, Death, and Robots Season 3 or Anthology 3. I don't even know what it's really called.
Call it. Probably season. Volume 3 is I think what they call it actually.
Volume 3.
Yeah, it just came out not too long ago. It is really, really good. It is on par with the first season. I wasn't a big fan of the second season, but I think the third season is phenomenal. The final episode of the third season is called Jabaro. It is one of the coolest television experiences. I don't know. It's just great. The cinematography is insane.
It doesn't look animated.
So cool.
It looks like they're filming a show.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It looks live action at first.
And then
where
the
you kind of
lore
pick up on
in
some
it,
of the stuff.
And like the elements between the one guy and the, I don't even know what they call her, but
I think
like
the Golden Woman or something.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so good.
It's so good. So good. The only bad episode is the very first episode.
Because it's the Three Robots episode.
The Three Robots. I don't think it's good.
They like doing the Three Robots. They've done the Three Robots every season.
You just made Kate so mad.
Was that her favorite?
She said it was like okay. So funny story. I guess because they released Anthology Volume whatever 3, it popped up on like trending or whatever, and I was like, I'll give it a shot, and literally binge watch volumes 1 and 2, and we have like 2 more of 3 to go through. It was just like in 3 days, just kind of like killed them all.
I mean, they're all so short.
They're very short.
It's easy to cut right through them.
It's also just so interesting because when you turn on Love, Death, and Robots, you're just like, all right, like a new series, and then you get hit with like, never mind, this is like mini episodes of just weirdness.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of them are very like, if I had to really put it bluntly, creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the endings are always very like abrupt and jarring, and just like what's going on. The salesman one was the one that really got to me because I was just like, what just happened? But yeah, so Caitlin did like the Three Robots one. The three Robots one talking about all the humans and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that one.
It's kind of funny.
Man, between Sunny's Edge, which is like the quintessential season 1 episode where she's using the actual, not a robot, I guess it's like a creature that she's controlling with her mind. And in Vaulted Halls Entombed, which is the one with the Marsoc agents where they go in and they're chasing after, like, it starts out as like it almost just looks like a military operation in, like, it could be anywhere, Afghanistan, Iraq, like it just looks like the hills of wherever, and they're just on a mission and they go into a cave and it just goes crazy. Cool. Man, freaking loved that episode.
The Three Robots stuff is probably like the safest of like the episodes.
Is this all
for
one?
sure.
Is it all one studio making this, or is it like I was talking to Kate about it, and I was like, this just seems like they gave indie animators a chance to kind of shine.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Well,
Just a bunch of indie short film.
Are they still doing the thing where, like, depending on your watch history, it'll give you different episodes in different orders?
I think that was only the first season. I think they stopped that
season.
after the first season.
Yeah, I think these actually have numbers now,
Got you.
like a specific order.
Because that's the only reason I know of this and started watching it was because of that, and I was like, oh, that was a neat way to do it.
Yeah. Last but not least, Stranger Things season 4. Chad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say much of this. I doubt any of you really dove into this. I know I polled Alex and Aaron, and they both said not really. I can just tell you though, I'm 4 episodes deep, and if you want an hour and 17 minutes of some good show, like little mini movies, really good. I got an 80s song on repeat right now because of it.
I'm only 2 episodes in, and it's really good so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
All
always
of the
loved-
episodes
Does
are over an hour long.
does
Yeah,
11
they
go
are.
back? Does 11 go back to Chicago?
He hasn't yet had 2 episodes.
That's like the worst plot
Yeah,
arc
yeah.
of any of Stranger Things.
How does it compare to the other seasons? Obviously, it sounds like nobody's finished it yet, but
1 was all right. So to put it in perspective, 1 was good, 2 was and then 3 was like amazing. I think it's like rolling right off of 3.
okay. Right
Yeah.
on.
That's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
it's definitely not a season 2.
That's good.
It's way
That's
better
good.
than season 2.
That
so-
is. I was
Yeah.
worried after 3. I was kind of like, I don't know how much more this series has.
Right.
I
Now
felt
when
like
I
we've done a
say
lot.
when I say 2 is 2 is still really good. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. So it's just kind of like comparing all of them together, just
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
2 is like the one that's noticeably worse.
Yeah,
Yes. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is season 4, part 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, it is? I didn't realize that.
And
Yeah.
this is like 4 or 8 episodes, and then there's another 4 or 8 episodes.
So
Something like that.
right now we have 7 episodes, and then July 1st we'll get 2 more. And then I think I can't. Is that the part 2 or is
I don't
I
think
think
so.
that's part 2. I think that's it.
Oh, that's part 2?
because it's 2 hours each, but it's basically like movies coming out.
Yeah. One of them is 2.5 hours long.
Oh, that's right, because the last one is like literally a movie. I do remember
Yeah.
this. Derek was talking about this. It's like a movie.
And it's the final
Yeah, like a
season.
movie.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, episode 8 is an hour and a half. Episode 9 is 2.5 hours.
This is the final season until they do the Attack on Titans,
Mhm.
where that was the final season, and then they cliffhangered it.
How
I'm
many
pissed about that?
How many parts are they on for the final season of Attack on Titan?
Just the first one right now.
They're just the first. But they announced another part already, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
they've already gotten through this first
Final
part,
season
so-
part 3 is coming, dude.
Did,
They announced
did they
it.
say? Wait, did they announce that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
they announced it. There is going to be a season 5 of Stranger Things.
There's gonna be a season 5.
Season 5 is the
Yeah.
final season.
Okay, this one was this one was advertised as the final season, so somebody lied to me.
It's just like Attack on Titan.
The 5th and final season of Stranger Things was announced February 17th, 2022.
Could have also been that I saw that the 5th and final season was announced and thought it was the 4th and final season.
Oh, that could have been it. That could have been it. Okay, so the last 2 episodes come out July 1st. One's an hour, one's a 2.5 hour movie. Excellent, exciting, guys. Very exciting
It's a
stuff.
movie, not just
Yeah,
a
it's-
movie.
Of course,
Mhm.
yes, yeah. You
Mhm.
got, I mean, for clarity.
Yeah, well,
movie.
I wasn't sure when you said it was like a movie. I was like, oh, what kind of movie? A movie.
See,
Movie, movie.
And
Like an
by
actual
saying that, you
actual
knew.
movie. Like an
Mhm.
actual movie.
movie.
I think it's actually a movie.
going to the
movie.
movies.
Actually, a movie.
movie.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It's like an actual movie.
Okay, well, on that note of notes, we will be back next week, next week, sorry, because it's in 2 weeks, we'll be back for another episode of the forecast.
Man, if somebody's like hitting the pipe right now, they are going wild.
I like next week. They're accurate and fun.
Derek's like, what's
good.
happening?
All right, thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time. See ya.